we're seeing not fewer but more engagements at our border. When the governor spent $4 billion of our tax dollars on what has turned out to be political theater for his political career.
We will continue to have to move migrants because Joe Biden continues to allow more illegal immigrants to come into the state of Texas.
Well, that was just some of the back and forth in Friday night's debate between Governor Greg Abbott and Democratic challenger Beto O'Rourke over the border. The two candidates for governor also touched on abortion, gun control, and the Texas power grid. And taking notes throughout that debate was SMU political science professor Cal Jillson. He joins us. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Brandon.
So on the issue of immigration, did Beto O'Rourke do a good enough job spelling out how his approach to the border would differ from Abbott's?
Well, the border is a very difficult issue for Democrats. Republicans have a bumper sticker, stop people at the border if they're coming illegally, whereas Democrats have a longer response, which is that we're not for open borders, but we are for treating people who are under duress in Latin America and elsewhere to come and appeal for asylum in this country. And people in political situations like short answers rather than extended answers. So Democrats do their best on the border, but they can't match the Republican simplicity.
All right, so let's turn to the issue of abortion. The candidates debated that, with Abbott defending his comments about Plan B for rape victims, and then O'Rourke asked to clarify what limitations, if any, he supported on abortion. Any surprises with that issue?
No surprises, but the shoe was on the other foot, as they say, on the abortion issue, because Democrats have a very simple, we believe that women and their doctors should decide their health care, whereas Republicans have a much more difficult case to make now that the conservative Supreme Court has struck down Roe v. Wade, because they've got to explain why it is that there are no exceptions for rape or incest just for the life of the mother and under dire circumstances. Most voters think that abortion should be legal in some circumstances. That's the Democrat position. Republicans are in difficulty on that issue.
Yeah, I know Beto O'Rourke had wanted or asked for several debates. Greg Abbott said, no, this is it. I'll do one. And so this is what we get. So did voters get a clear picture of each candidate enough that to say that this debate was really a success?
Yeah, this is one debate on a Friday night off the main channels. And that's exactly what the governor had in mind, because he's leading in most polls by 6, 7, 8 points. And so he doesn't want to make a highly visible mistake in a debate. O'Rourke is trailing, so he wanted as many debates as possible where he could land blows on the governor. So for those relatively few Texans who watched that debate, I think they did get a good sense of these two candidates and where they differ. But the vast majority of voters only have the second day stories in the newspaper. Gromer Jeffers has a good one in this morning's paper, and from you guys and from our discussion.
All right. So after it's all said and done, does it change any minds? Do you think anybody has a different approach to an issue, having seen or read the articles about the debate?
Well, I think that polling that I referred to a minute ago shows that the partisans, the Democrats, are now locked into O'Rourke. Republicans are locked into Abbott. There are more Republicans in Texas than there are Democrats, and there are relatively few people in the middle remaining to be convinced, and some of them aren't paying much attention. So I don't think anything happened in the debate that changes the trajectory of this race. Abbott is still ahead comfortably, and unless something dramatic happens on the grid, an example of an egregious, difficult abortion circumstance or a mass shooting, this election is likely to go forward pretty much in this posture.
All right, and some of the issues that they talked about, you got abortion or immigration, these are sort of issues that take on a national scope, but the power grid is specific to us. Did you hear anything in the debate regarding the Texas power grid that might give you, those that watched it or those that are reading, any sense that they would favor one candidate over the other?
Yeah, I think the power grid is a complex issue for a lot of voters, including this voter right here. And that's because it's very hard for us to tell as voters and citizens whether or not the changes to the grid and to the administration of the grid have been sufficient to solve the problems. It appears not, because the businesses that run the grid are given a great deal of flexibility, and ratepayers know that their bills have gone up. But they're not sure what joining the national grid would mean, taking Texas into the national grid, and they're not sure what O'Rourke would be able to do in order to make the Texas grid more efficient and less expensive. So I think, people listen, they follow their partisanship to feel good about the answer of their candidate, but I don't think that very many people change their mind based on the grid. If you're worried, you're still worried. If you're confident, you're still confident.
And now it goes to the voters. All right, SMU political science professor Cal Jillson, we appreciate your time this morning. Thanks.
Thank you.